When a bullet leaves the chamber, it tells a story. But what if that story isn't as conclusive as we've been led to believe? I'm Tony Brueski, and today we're pulling back the curtain on a type of forensic science that may not be as reliable as courtroom dramas have conditioned us to think. You know, the kind of science I'm talking about, the kind where a single bullet casing is matched to a specific gun, and the jury nods along, convinced that every little mark on that metal casing is as unique as a fingerprint. But here's the problem. What if those markings are just vague whispers of truth instead of ironclad proof? At the heart of the Richard Allen trial lies a complicated question. Can tiny extractor and ejector marks on a bullet casing really be trusted to convict a man of murder? We're not talking about DNA or a smoking gun, but mechanical scratches. Sometimes scratches not visible even to the naked eye, left behind during the process of ejecting a bullet. These are the kind of marks that could easily look nearly identical across thousands of guns from the same era, each bearing subtle manufacturing quirks, but nothing truly unique. The prosecution is leaning heavily on these marks, hoping the jury will believe they're as precise as scientific law. But this isn't DNA, and it's not even a reliable science or fingerprint. It's more like a handwriting analysis, open to interpretation and prone to reasonable doubt. So, what happens when the system puts its faith in science? That's not so much a certainty, but a well educated guess. In cases like this, emotion often steps in where hard facts leave off. Jurors see grieving families, they feel the weight of the unresolved tragedy. They want justice and someone to blame. What if the science doesn't hold up under scrutiny? What if, after all these years, the killer isn't the man sitting in the defense's chair, but someone who has already faded into the shadows unnoticed? And here's the real psychological kicker. What if the case against Richard Allen is built on confirmation bias? Investigators wanted to solve the crime. The public demanded a name. And maybe, just maybe, science was bent to fit the narrative. So the big question is, if the marks don't definitively point to Allen, where does the town go from here? Do they rest or do they reset and search for the real killer? Or do they live with the nagging possibility that the wrong man was sent to prison or not sent to prison, leaving a predator free to roam? This trial could very well determine not just the fate of Richard Allen, but also the credibility of forensic bullet analysis in high stakes cases across the country. Will science serve justice or obscure it? It's a complex case with emotions, doubts, and lives hanging in the balance. Let's take a closer look at the latest twists and the forensic puzzle at the heart of this case. Joining me, retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer. I know I've been hearing over and over like that science is kind of eh. How? Give me your opinion. You're the firearms expert here. Is that a super reliable science to say, okay, this gun made this mark, and there's zero possibility or very little possibility that it came from another? Or when you have this type of bullet and this type of gun, and it's from the same similar type era of years, is it going to produce pretty much the same results, or are they all that unique?
It's not an exact science. It's certainly not DNA. It's certainly not a fingerprint. And it's certainly not like rifling on a bullet that produces its own fingerprint,
Mhm.
if you will, as it goes inside a particular barrel and spins out. So that's even more reliable. But this is actually the marks, if you can imagine a bullet sitting there and it needs to be extracted and ejected. So it's extracted is one mark that's made by the extractor, and the ejector makes another mark. So they're going to look to see if those marks on that casing perfectly match what it looks like when Richard Allen's are manually ejected and extracted. I know that's a lot to go through and visualize,
Yeah,
but essentially that's what they're going to be looking at. And so, no, it's not exact because the problem is all of those guns that were made at that time should have somewhat similar
Mhm.
markings. So we're going to see whether it's truly exact or it's just kind of similar. And
Yeah.
that's where you have a problem, kind of like handwriting.
Yeah. Where does this go if Richard Allen is found innocent? If they go, yeah, enough reasonable doubt here, because there really isn't a lot of evidence that truly ties him to the crime, at least not that we've seen yet. How does Delphi handle that? I mean, they've been so gung ho that this is the guy for all these years. If he's not, your killer's been out there for all these years now, nearly a decade.
Well, I will say, Tony, I mean, you pose a great question, but in these types of cases, when you have the gore and the anger that is going to be in the eyes of those jurors, just like it's been in the eyes of the public,
Hmm.
they're looking out at the family. The family is sitting behind law enforcement and sitting, behind the prosecutor. And they want somebody, they're probably going to want somebody to pay.
Yeah,
Um, and so when in trials like this that are so egregious like this, and then you have law enforcement put on the stand with years and years of experience, and and you allow them to give their opinions on what was said, on what happened, which is what you have here. I He may be convicted despite
yeah,
uh, somebody who really analyzes the facts. It just says, no, let's clean it all up
yeah,
and let's just look at facts. It's problematic to me at this point,
yeah.
but it's going to come down to the confessions. But shoot, if he were found not guilty,
Mhm.
oh my gosh,
I
he
mean,
will have
yeah,
he will be a rich man.
yeah.
But
Oh,
he's
yeah.
probably a ruined person. I mean, he's ruined.
Yeah. There'd be massive lawsuits against the city and all of that. But if you have some of these same people on the force, they're going to have to re-examine this. They're going to have to eat some crow and go, yeah, all the things that we thought we knew wrong. And you got to kind of start from ground zero. I mean, it's not like there's not other suspects here either that clearly should have been looked at in greater detail. They kind of have a good starting point on some of them, it seems. But I just wonder if this just goes down, and it's like, well, we thought it was him. We still think it's him, but he got away, and then it's just kind of left into the ether, and we never know who killed these kids.
Yeah, I go back and I saw on the witness list is the FBI agent who put together the probable cause affidavit that indicated it was Ron Logan. Now, remember, Ron Logan just lived about 1,000 feet from where all of this occurred. It's all on his land,
Yeah.
easy place to go clean up. He falsified an alibi. He had somebody lie for him about an alibi. Some people want to argue, oh, they did that because he didn't want to get caught driving on a suspended license. No, that's not why he had somebody fabricate a
Mhm.
lie. He drove all the time. So, I don't know. He also wore those cohort jackets. He looks exactly like the original mugshot. His girlfriend said that was his voice on the recording. I mean, there's a lot of probable cause to point at him. He's deceased.
Yeah.
Did they do it in tandem with anybody? How come Keegan Klein was setting up an appointment to meet somebody and
Yes.
they just happened to be there and get murdered? I mean, there's so much that I don't know if the jury will ever see,
Yeah.
but this is a bad. I just don't like the facts in this case. I'm hoping they have the right guy,
Yeah.
and that he's not getting railroaded.
Well, and if they don't have the right guy and maybe the right guy is dead, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know where that goes, but I mean, yeah, there's certainly a spotlight on several other people that goes, yeah, clearly they should look at this. It looks like they were probably involved in some way, shape, or form, and none of those people happens to be Richard Allen. That's the shocking part of all of this. The man that's standing trial has like the least amount on him, and it's mind blowing, but it is what it is. We'll see where this all goes, and what and jury ultimately decides what they are allowed to hear in the trial of Richard Allen. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski. and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.